See, I got this fancy countdown timer. It's fancy because I'm fancy
Really?
now. I need to shorten it up because 30 seconds is way too long. I get bored in 30 seconds. I do. What? I'm not lying. I get bored in the 30 seconds. It's like, fuck, man. I gotta sit here for 30 seconds while this damn thing goes down. Why shouldn't I should have made it for like 10 or 5? 5 even would have been good. Welcome to Rock and Recovery. I'm your host, Jay. This is my guest, a friend and a guest and fellow podcaster with her mom. We did Sheila already. This is Jeselle. Jess. We call her Jess. I call her Jess, for short. But she's here to talk about whatever she wants to talk about because she's like a sister. So I know she just had a baby, and I know she dealt with some stuff earlier on, and that's the whole point behind looking in through the glass. So Jess, how are you doing?
I'm actually doing pretty good today. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so let's get this right. I asked you said you've been wanting to come on the show. I've been telling you need to come on the show because your mom did. We had this set up like last year sometime. You said, oh, sure, send me your calendar link. Yeah, so I sent you my calendar link. I said, you're like, what time works for you? I'm like, afternoon, early afternoon. So what do? You schedule it for before noon your time, at noon my time. Where was the after part? There was no after.
Afternoon to me.
That's not 11 o'clock is not afternoon. It's 11 o'clock where you're at. I know this.
Well, you're an hour ahead, so you can get
that's
over
not
it.
afternoon. It's noon. What happened to early afternoon? Like 1, 2? No, not noon.
Then I start thinking that's late after.
No, that's like 4 or 5 or 3. Let's say 3 is late afternoon. Because noon is noon for a reason.
Well, you're here, aren't you?
So are you. So let's get this show on the road. So tell me what you do, Jess. I just told everybody what you did. But how did looking through the glass came apart, and how has it been a big part of your life? And we'll just go on from there.
So looking through the glass kind of came in. Since I was really young, I've always told my mom, like when Vines was a thing, I was like, Mom, we should really do this. Is this something, you're funny, you do weird things, and you're a great person to know. And she's like, no. She was never an internet person in the first place. So that kind of died off. And then when we started talking about recovery, her trying to get through this and everything, her recovery and her drug addiction. We started talking about it, and she was like, I really want to try this with you. I think a podcast would be a great way to go. We did not start as a podcast. We started as a YouTuber. We started our YouTube account, and then we have a lot of our early onsets where she was still in her active drug addiction before she finally quit. And then April of 2 years ago, she just hit her 2 years. But 2 years ago, she finally quit her drug addiction, and we were still continuing our YouTube. But then she started diving into TikTok, and that's when she started doing the whole TikTok thing. I joined
That's
in
where she
on
met me. That's
where she met you.
Got to meet the great Jay.
And she brought you into our lives, and we started building up this community. Well, I kind of just drew away from TikTok. I feel like TikTok is a toxic community for me, because of my addiction. And so she would deal with it a whole lot more. And then we finally decided, you know what? We need to start a podcast. We like to talk. We like to just conversate and do all these things. And so we got in contact with somebody else and you, and we're like, how do we even start? And they gave us the information, and we just kind of ran with it. We just ran with it, and then we've kind of been doing our own thing since. And this journey in it there's been a lot of healing between me and her, in our relationship itself. That was the whole point, was to show the world that we can heal our relationship as we heal ourselves. And that's a lot of it. We want the transparency, to show the messy parts, the dirty, the dirtiness of it. It's not clean. It's not beautiful. It's hard. And in that process, December 31st or 30th, I can't remember, I decided to tell my husband about my addiction. He already knew about my addiction, but I didn't see it as an addiction. And
Right.
then
But
I
was it consuming
uncovered
your life? That's what I want to know. Was it consuming your life?
it was. It
Were
was
you taking
consuming my
time
life.
out of your daily life to spend a whole lot more time doing your addiction uh, than it's an addiction. It's an addiction.
It was a very and it's a very common addiction. And the technology part is a very common addiction, especially the more we go into the future with technology.
Especially with your
And
generation. Let's just put it real.
exactly. My mom very much tried to keep me the electronics away from me when I was like 13, 14 years old. She really, really hated it. But this was how bad it was. She would literally take the battery and the phone apart. She would take the battery with her to work, and the phone would be hidden somewhere in the house. Well, this child knew how to find shit, and I would plug it in to the wall so it's on the charger, and that made the phone work. Yeah, you guys probably don't know what that is anymore, where phones and batteries were separated. Um, but that was something that I knew how to get around it, and I would be on my phone. She'd walk through the door, and I would just be sitting there, and it would take her a minute to click. And I pissed her off so bad with it that she took a metal like door stopper, it was like good 3 feet long, and she smashed it into the ground. And she was like, "You will not disobey me. You and I like all this whole horrible shit."
You
And
know, short story sidetrack real quick. Pause real quick. Uh, because my daughter Natalie, when she was like 9, got her this tablet. She has always liked it. She loved the tablets, and I watched her get so angry over not being able to play on her tablet, and so angry at the. She was like playing Littlest Pet Shop of all things. She would get so angry because she couldn't complete something or couldn't do something that she would yell at the tablet and throw it. And I'm like, enough's enough. Grounded her from it for like a week. The very next night, caught her trying to sneak it at like 2 o'clock into her room. So then she lost it for like a month, maybe 2 months. I can't remember. I'm like, I told Brittany she can deal with that. I'm like, I grounded her the first time. You can do it the second time. You took it away. Hey, it's up to you. But that whole addiction is real. I mean, it's addiction to technology, addiction to not just your phone, but just all electronical like technology, like you said.
yeah, well, and then when I that day that I decided to recover, to start my recovery journey, and told my husband, that was also a time frame where I uncovered trauma on why I went down that road, why I and like enveloped myself into the technology. And it was more specifically an app. There was a couple apps at the time, and then it just kind of went to one app, and it was meeting people, and it was meeting men, I should say. 13, 14 years old, I was lost in trying to find some sort of love. My mom was working 4 jobs, my dad lived in a whole nother state, and we rarely ever talked. My closest family, such as grandfather, talked nothing but mad shit about my mom, and then grandmother just and my mom and my grandmother just were butting heads and not in good relations at the time. So I had nowhere to go. There's this 13, 14-year-old child who has been sexually assaulted on multiple accounts, who was actively being sexually assaulted by a 40-year-old man at the time, and that was the neighbor, and that was what I was trying to hide, was that it didn't matter. He was consistently seeking me out, and I just let it happen. And I was so guilt ridden when I found out. I was like, "Mom, I just let it happen." And I was like, "So is it even considered that?" And she goes, "You were 13, 14 years old. Of course that's, you don't know." you're still maturing out mentally, and you just wanted to feel loved. And so that's where my addiction fell into, was I was seeking out people to just love me. I wanted to be a person who wasn't Jeselle because I wasn't pretty enough or I was fat. So I wanted to just make sure that nobody knew who I truly was. I could be whatever I want, do whatever I want type thing. And that just carried on and off until a year and 4 months ago. Um, and that was probably something that I never seen it as an addiction. I just saw it as an outlet, and it was I can forget the stresses in my real world. I can forget what's really going on around me. I didn't understand addiction. And when I realized, as my mom was going through her recovery, the more I was realizing I am actually addicted to something, and it's non-substance. But that made me feel like I my addiction didn't matter because I didn't have that physical addiction to, drugs like most people do, or alcohol, or that substance. And but you go through the same mental processes just as they do, and sometimes physically. I just
So I got a question for you, Jess. What were
Yes.
you trying to cover up or cope with that led you into that type of addiction?
I was covering up the sexual assaults I went through when I was 8 years old, and the rape and sexual assault that I was going through at the age of 13, 14 years old. And then it continued. I had another rape when I was 16 years old. And it just kind of continuously went on. And then I also had lived in an abusive home. My stepdad at the time was an alcoholic and a very abusive one. He was demeaning towards me verbally, and then he was physically abusive towards my mom. Um, I also had a lot of trauma where family was very abusive towards me. They would accuse me of being a drug addict, becoming a drug addict, high school dropout, pregnant at 15, 16 years old, and being just like my mom. Um, and because my mother was raising me, there was a lot of hatred towards my mom. And my mom and I had a decent relationship. It just, my mom was the type of going, "Hey, you're a child, you don't need to talk. You don't, your opinion, you're voicing your opinion doesn't matter." And I was silenced a lot. So being silenced and not having a place to go, it just kind of allowed me to be in a world where I could be heard in a way. Um, I was seen. That's the best way I can say, is I was seen, because a lot of times I would be cut off. I would start talking and people would just cut me off, and then I'm in the background. I'm just background noise. And that still happens to this day. That's why I talk louder. That's why I like try to insert myself. But there's a lot of times where I'm cut off and I just let it happen. Um, so that's something I'm still dealing with, is not being heard. Um, the I also went through a traumatic experience where I lived in Oklahoma and away from my mom. It was people I knew one of them. I didn't know her husband. And going to a small town school from a big city, and facing the being outcasted, being made fun of, being called names, and just not fitting in because it was a class of 15 kids. And I was like, I just don't belong. And then my household was very controlling. She wanted to control me on going to church. She wanted to control me on what I could eat, what I wear, my weight, all of that. And I've always been told, you would be pretty, you could be a model if you lost weight. Um, and so I had a lot of that trauma. The things that I experienced for so long and endured for so long and held on to. I didn't tell anybody what had happened to me until I was 17 years old.
Wow.
Um, my mom knew a little bit about my first sexual assault. It was with two teenage kids. I was 8 years old. It came back to me in a memory, and the only reason why it came back to me in a memory was because I was going through it again with a grown man. Um, but that was more, sexual encounters. And then I would always be accused of sleeping around by other kids. They would tell my mom, "Hey, she's sleeping around with such and such," when it wasn't the truth. I just made friends with them and I would connect. So there was always that accusation somewhere too. And when I was raped at six, it was like 15, 16, I I ended up getting pregnant and not knowing where to go, who to go to. The living in Las Vegas, the resources, I didn't know the resources. Never was taught the resources, didn't know who to go to, what to do. Didn't want my mom to find out because my mom would have flipped her lid and beaten the shit out of me for it. I probably wouldn't have been believed if it was, told. And so I forced myself to miscarry. I forced myself to lose the baby. And that was the most guilt-ridden I've ever been. Um, when I moved to Oklahoma and told the person I lived with, she told me, "Well, why did you do that?" And then I got guilt-ridden with the religious part of it. "Why'd you do that? I would have, you could have had the baby and I would have raised the baby for you," and like this whole 9 yards. And I was 16 and lost. And I already didn't feel loved. I didn't want another child to come into this world not feeling good. So it came into this whole ordeal. And so then I even was more guilt ridden and hated myself even more. So I devoured myself into the technology world even more. I didn't like being face to face with people. It just I felt like I didn't belong in this world. Um and then I started making friends, and she didn't like she would stalk through my phone. She didn't like the way they were talking, and so she took my phone away. And then I had learned to not be so addicted to that world. I was brainwashed into believing that I didn't need the phone, but I also lost a lot of connection with my mom and family and other people, actual friends I did know face to face. And then it kind of rolls into just dealing with my mom when my mom hit her head because I moved back to Vegas, and then there was a lot of this is my mom. My mom is different. She met, her current husband, and I was like, my mom is my mom. I want to be there with her and everything. And then she hit her head, and we kind of spiraled into her having seizures, me becoming the sole caretaker of her, her husband, his mom, and then all of their kids combined. And and it was my senior year, and we were in Texas, a place I didn't belong, a place I did not know, knew nobody. And so it kind of kept in that I'm meeting new people, and I kind of went through a phase where I had became very hypersexual. Um,
So another question: growing up as an addict, so you didn't, as a child an addict, you didn't. Luckily, you didn't turn to substance, but there was that connection that was missing, that attention. So that's what you were craving, and that's actually what you became addicted to, whether it be good attention, bad attention. So you were addicted to basically getting attention.
Yes, I was fully addicted to the attention itself. I craved it. I needed it, and because I lacked it so badly throughout my entire life. Um, and I lacked it for years until I met my current husband, and even then, I couldn't see past my nose with the attention I was actually getting. The I'm actually here. I want you because you're you type thing. And I just
Not what you
I
can do for him, but wants you because you're genuine and you're you.
Exactly. He fell in love with who I am. But it was such an addiction that I his attention wasn't enough. And because maybe it was I craved a man's attention more than anything.
That
I
father
could get
figure that you're missing, or
the father figure that I was missing. Now, don't get me wrong, my dad was there. He just wasn't as active because he lived in a different state because he worked and whatever else. There's a lot of personal that I his personal side that I don't put out there. Um, but with him and I have our conversations, but but it was still the I had an abusive father figure that was around for 10 plus years that I from the age of 5 until I was about 15 years old that just was extremely horrible towards us. And it always made me very jealous. I watched how he was with my sister and I got extremely jealous, where to the point where I absolutely despised my sister when I was younger because I never had that connection. To me, I don't remember a connection of that sort. Um, when my current stepdad came into the picture, he took me under his wing like I'm his own kid. He still to this day treats me like I'm his own kid. I am his daughter. You would think that I'm biologically his. But and that might have helped me see the side of things where hey, you don't have to be so wound up in the technology, but it's so hard to not run back to it. I'm going through postpartum right now, and it is so hard not to wind up back in it because I just want, and also it's an escape. I want out of this world. I don't want to think about the stresses that are going on. Um, but I will say that when I finally discovered that it was an addiction after all the bullshit that I've been through, um, and I've decided this is the day I'm done. I'm no longer doing this. This is taken to me because it has taken a lot from me. It didn't matter where we were at. I was buried in my phone, making sure I could get that text in, making sure I can, text them back real fast or do whatever I need to do. And I lost out on memories. There's shows that I've watched because I spent so much
that you
time
don't
on the phone.
remember,
I don't even remember
doing
watching.
things that you don't even remember doing because you really weren't present for it. You're too wrapped up.
Exactly.
And I think that speaks to a lot now, times right now, because you'll go out to eat and you'll see everybody on their phone. You'll see people out on a date and all there are is in their phone. And it's like, how are you enjoying somebody's company when
Exactly.
you're in your phone too much and worried about TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all the social media platforms? Why are you on that instead of actually being present with the another person? You know, and that opposite, that addiction, because it's the opposite of connection. You're connecting through a phone. That's not really a connection. I mean, it's substituting a connection. It's just tuning out, and it's like when does the world stop tuning out and start tuning into others? I don't know. I
It,
just find it. I I say that I'm not addicted to my phone, but and I can put my phone down and turn it off and be happy. You know, Yet everything I do is through my phone. All through my
mhm,
phone or my laptop. So it's kind of hard now because this society is geared towards technology. It's geared towards connecting through a telephone, a text message, your laptop. The COVID era brought all this on, I think, and it was
yes.
really big in creating people to rely on technology and social media for connection.
And it's so easy to pull away from it, but you can be drawn right back to it because we rely on it. Our phone numbers are in there. That's how we make phone calls. That's how we talk to people. That's how we connect. And and no, you go to a park nowadays and people and your kids are playing and we like to interact with our kids. We like to, and the friends that they're playing with, because for reasons, we like to interact with those kids. And people get weirded out and will take their kids and leave the park. Why? Why are you getting weirded out? Because we are have our kids and then we're out there spending time with them, playing with them, instead of being on the bench just like this. That is the worst thing possible, in my opinion. You're outside. You should be enjoying the nature.
As a
And
dad, I would take my kids to the playground and I would be running all over the playground with them. And other kids would be like, oh my God, a parent's playing with them. And they would want to play
yes,
too. And it's like, duh, I want to play with my kids. Fuck this. I came to the park. A park is meant to have fun at. So I'm on the swing sets. I'm running through the playground. I'm chasing them. We're playing tag. We're doing all the freaking things like kids would do because I'm just a big kid. Everybody knows that. But still,
yes.
these parents, some parents would be like, "Yeah, look at that dude with tattoos. He's scary. Maybe we should keep him away from our kids. Whose
They
kid is he
immediately.
chasing?" You know, you get that immediate
Mhm.
judgment.
Mhm. My mom was very much the same way with me growing up. It was the interactive of, I'm gonna run around with my kids, I'm gonna play with the kids. She also saw it as a deterrent for predators. She's just like, here we are, is interacting with the kids, they're less likely to take my kids. And that was one of the reasons why she did it. But also, it was, I'm able to have memories of her interacting with us. My siblings can have interactions of us running around playing tag, or whatever we're doing, playing monkey in the middle, because we're evil like that. um as older siblings. But we have those interactions. But I also lost on interactions of birthday parties because I hid in the corner while I was just with my phone. Or I hid in the bathroom, because I would hide in the bathroom so nobody would catch me doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's funny
And
because I would hide in the bathroom to do my drugs, while you're hiding in the bathroom to be on your phone. It's like total different world, same ball game, different players. But yeah, I'm like trying to shoot up in the bathroom and here you
Mhm.
are sending a text. I'm like, what the
It's crazy. And my mom and I talk a lot about how hard it is, because here I am running a podcast. I do all of our tech. Everything that you see posted, everything that you see, all of it is me. I'm gonna put it out there. And she's not
take
techy.
credit for that shit. Take credit. I know your
I
mom. Take
am.
credit.
She told me yesterday, she's like, you bust your ass. And I was like, and even Joey was like, look, you're putting time into it. It's a job.
Yeah.
And because
Like I
it's
said,
time
take credit for
consuming.
that shit.
But it's so much, especially with all the social medias I'm trying to build up and trying to get it all posted and everything. It becomes very difficult for me, and because I am, all I can do is go to the Play Store and download an app. That's all it's gonna take.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting here going, "Don't do it. I don't do it."
Yep.
And it's not worth it, especially now that I have a baby. So what I wanted to say was, and this is a miracle for me, I have spent 10 years trying to have a baby. I have spent 10 years wanting a baby. I have miscarried when I was 16. Um, and I very much felt like that was God punishing me. I
Right.
found the right man. I wanted to have a baby with him. We did everything we possibly could. Was diagnosed with PCOS, and that was like, okay, this is just gonna fuck my whole world up. And finally, when I decided to come clean and tell and remove myself from the addiction, and remove it from my life, and genuinely enjoy the world that I live with my family, the nature, trying to find hobbies, I discovered that I was pregnant a few months later. I found out in March that I'm pregnant. So
I
literally
remember.
3 months. Yeah, 3 months after quitting my addiction, I was blessed with a pregnancy. Now, I spent the entire pregnancy in fear. And that in my first year of trying to stay in recovery, it became so difficult because I lived in fear, and I hated that I lived in fear. And So, and then I went through a whole traumatic experience in the hospital, but I was allowed to feel every bit of my emotions through my pregnancy. I got to feel connected with my pregnancy. I got to feel connected with my husband. I got to feel connected with everybody and not so detached from everything. And it was more of a blessing than anything. Now, my emotions were heightened through it all. My mom was like, I can't even imagine going through recovery and pregnant because I'm already a very sensitive person. And then
Dude is
we
a
just like
saint. That's all I'm
tenfold.
saying. I would have moved out for 9 months and maybe came back on the 10th after it was born. I'd be like, I like to hear my friends calling and boss,
Well, come to find out, I wasn't as mean through the pregnancy as I
whatever. Don't lie. I was there. I might not have been in the same state, but we were talking and we knew
I
each
wasn't
other
as
and we
mean.
talked almost all the time. So yeah,
I,
you were mean.
I wasn't as mean as I am now. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm worse now than I was then.
I don't know about that, but
You
I'll
can
take
ask
your
him.
word for it.
He triggers the shit out of me. Um, and that's coming. I'm going through my second year, and the triggers are so bad. With the postpartum, he can't huff and puff without me freaking out. I very much,
Poor
I'm
guy.
very,
I'd say poor guy. I know postpartum's a really big thing. And I know because
it
we've
is,
talked about it. We've talked about it. I've helped you through some of it. And,
yes,
you know, so I understand that it's huge and it is it takes a toll on people, yeah, especially on women. And I can understand how, it affects you mentally. And I feel
right.
bad for him. Come on, give him a break. He doesn't mean it.
No, and my big thing is because I lacked communication and connection for so long,
Right.
I try to make sure that's embedded in the relationship with everything that's going on. Talk to me. Let me know what's going on. I became I had very bad narcissistic tendencies. I would, and that came into play with our relationship. And I know that put a lot of strain in our relationship. I'm very blessed that this man didn't leave me. I'm gonna straight up say I am very blessed that this man didn't leave me. He could have walked out the door at any point, and he stood up for me. He has been there for me, um, and he still stands there by my side. He's still one of my number one supporter, other than my mom. Him and her will probably fight for that spot. Um, but he has been there for me through it all, and he takes it. He has taken I'm gonna just straight up the abuse from it all. Um, and with now I try to see that, hey, I'm being triggered. I try to recognize I'm being triggered. I need to step away. I need to do what I need to do to ground myself so I'm not losing my shit. And one thing that I come into problems with is not being heard. That is a trigger for me. If I'm not being heard, I kind of just kind of lose it and I get angry. And I don't like being angry. I don't. It's not my
Why
thing.
not? It's fun, isn't it?
I'm me.
No, I already know the answer to that. No.
It's not.
Let's put the stock answer out there. No, it's not fun to be angry.
No, it's not. Unless you're road raging. I'm a very much of a road rager.
I could tell, you know, but on that, you use the word triggers a lot. And I'm going to say triggers, and you might not like to hear this, but triggers, you can use that as an excuse. Triggers, all they are is excuses that you made within yourself that you haven't been able to work through with yourself. Uh, so I would I would try to stay away from that word triggers because that means you need more work. And we both know you need a lot of work. I'm just joking. Just
Same.
joking. Don't freaking go
I
off on me,
need
but
work.
you need a lot. But
Yes.
triggers is just an excuse word because sometimes what we have to work through is harder than we're ready to work through it. So we use that word triggers instead of it, but it really is just a lot of people are probably going to hate me for this, but as an excuse to act a certain way, to be angry, to maybe be a little bit mean, you know.
I can see how you can see that. I use it as a term of that's something I still need to work on.
Yeah,
That triggered me,
absolutely.
and that's something, and that okay. I so like yeah, him huffing and puffing. It is legit a trigger. It makes me angry. It makes me freak out. I also have something in my head called an inner critic. I'm telling myself, you're not being a good mom. You're leaving her on him too much. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I have that, that tells me that's something I need to work on. Now, if you're using it as a trigger saying, I acted out because they triggered me, that is not something that's where you're correct, Jay. No, 100%. You're not looking and reflecting into yourself. Look in the mirror and see why it's triggering you. Do the digging,
Do the
dig up that
work
dirt
so it
and
doesn't trigger you no more.
exactly make sure that you can, and it's postpartum recovery, all of it together, new motherhood. It's not fucking easy,
What
but
do you mean? It's not
well,
easy? They don't give you a handbook and tell you how to be a
no,
mom?
they don't fucking
Why would
absolutely not.
anybody want to have kids? Fuck.
No, you birthed her, here you go, figure it the fuck out. That's pretty much
You
what they
mean
do.
you mean there's not a parent's guidebook or how to survive the first 3 months of being a mom?
Yeah, and I speak a lot about postpartum because I don't feel like we recognize what we're stepping into as first time moms and realize how much you end up in your head, how much you lose yourself, the
Wait
grief
for the
that you
second
go
one.
through. Yeah, well, and then I started going through grief. I started going because
Right.
I have friends that don't talk to me anymore. I have people that don't come around anymore. And it's like, well, what the fuck did I do? Why does my child have anything to do with our friendship? You know, and whether it's I don't want to hear a screaming baby or whatever, but that's still a loss for me. That's still something that I grieve. I don't
I
get
see
to go to
that.
the movies. I don't get invited to go to the movies or do things anymore. So it's kind of like it sucks.
I see that. And I can see how, that can be contribute to the postpartum. And I see that, and I understand that because, it's same thing with an addict as what an addict goes through, their depressions. Why doesn't anybody want to be around me? Even when you're getting clean, why don't all my friends that I used to know want to just be around me now? Because now I'm better, first of all,
Mhm.
but they're not. They're stuck in there. So they got shit to work on themselves, and maybe you being the mom, it's not a screaming kid. Who doesn't like screaming kids? I love screaming kids because they're not mine. I get to give them back. If I, here, your kid's screaming, it needs change too. Here you go. But along with that, the screaming kids, I think that's more internalized. You don't give yourself enough credit, you don't give yourself enough grace because you know yeah, it's hard. Yeah, nobody likes a screaming kid, like you said, especially the mom, because then it triggers something in them. Am I doing something wrong? Am I not
Mhm.
good enough as a mother? It's a reflection on, they feel that it's a reflection on them if their kid's screaming. It's not. It's just a process of freaking kids growing up. They're gonna scream. You
Mhm.
know, they're gonna
The
scream at the most
teething.
inappropriate times because why? They might need the attention.
Yep. And and that's something I'm pressing into my own head. I'm a good mom. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. What I my processes with her are not wrong. How I'm raising her is not wrong. And I very much the internet, coming back to technology, does not help. They tell you, "Oh, if
You
you're
mean
not
Google
doing
doesn't
this."
help? Google helps everything. What are you talking about?
No, no,
Google's beautiful.
I'm talking about more like social media platforms where you have the videos and everything. Those do not help you. They will not help you. They make you go into your head 10 times more. And now you're
Agreed.
feeling like, well, my daughter's not doing that. Why is she not doing that? She's the same age as that kid. Well, because every
Comparison.
kid has their own processes. You start comparing everything and going, well, they say I need to take her to the hospital because she's not doing this yet. No, it's just that kids are processing differently.
Comparison is the thief of joy. If you don't take anything else away from this, just know that comparison is the thief of joy. Once you start comparing something to somebody else, you're going to realize all the things you're doing wrong according to other people, and other people aren't you. So, comparison, first of all, is the thief of joy. Don't ever compare anything to compare yourself from now until you were back then, and then tell me how big of a difference that is. That's the only type of comparison you should be comparing is your past to your present and how well you're doing.
I completely agree with that. And, I've been doing a lot of that. I've been, comparing my past to my present and seeing how much more I'm here, the more I'm interactive, and the more I get to really enjoy my family. And one thing that my family does is that well, they were doing when I first started my recovery, was that whenever they were around me, everybody would put their phones down and everybody would interact with each other. We would play card games, we would just talk, we hang out. We kind of fallen back into the whole being on our phones while we're around each other.
Oh,
And
hold on, real quick. Oh no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
fuck you, Jay. Well, you're lucky I love you.
Oh, that was great. Hold on, I got a call. I got to take yellow. I deserve that. I do deserve
Yes,
that.
you do. You actually deserve this one more than anything.
I deserve it. What can I say?
But
Hold on, your
I'm
mom's calling. Hold on.
yeah, right. She called me before she calls you.
You want to bet?
But I will say that I'm happy that I was able to go through my recovery, to cherish the moments that I have with my daughter.
Yeah,
To see, I get to see all her first. I'm not so blinded in my phone that I'm not getting to see her grow up.
that's good.
And that's something that I feel we need to bring into reality. It's hard because this is a weakness for me. It's
What?
in
You got your
every
phone in your hand? I don't even have mine in my hand. You've had yours in your hand this whole time?
No, I just picked it up off the fucking table, Thor.
I see what's more important.
Yeah, that's right. Come on. Let me text my mom real fast.
I will invite her in here right now. Say I won't, and I will.
She's gonna tell you absolutely not.
She would say, absolutely. Let me get in on this.
So she's even awake.
Probably not. That's true. No, actually, wait. It's probably almost noon there now, so she's probably awake.
Who knows? But no, I know I've been meaning to get on here, and was trying to get on here during the pregnancy to talk out and speak out about my story, because my story, I'm still learning how to put into words. I dealt with a lot of other traumas, and I'm trying to not let my trauma define me. Um, I know a lot of people. I'm trying to put a purpose to it and not leaving it as just my
Right.
pain. And that's kind of why we do the looking through the glass. I'm learning to speak out more on looking through the glass. A lot of it's my mom, a lot of it's having guests right now. But I'm trying to do my best to speak out about it. We have a lot of guests that kind of call me out. And start asking me the questions, and I'm like, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
But having a platform to where it's such as yours, to talk, to feel listened to, and just be around it's really nice.
I appreciate that, and I catch your guys. We do a lot of the same people, and it's great to because we talk about different topics with the same people. So,
Right?
I'm like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that," and I'll have to go back to the recording and look. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we did kind of talk about something like that, but not that." And it's different it's not comparison. It's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." I learned something. So it's I like watching your guys' clips and the clips that you do. Anyway, I very rarely am able to watch a full podcast, not even my own. I can't
Oh
stand
yeah.
watching myself. You know, I think I'm so boring. I'm like, because all I'm doing sitting here is like, that's all I do. Yeah, and I'm listening, and I'm like, then I'll be like, try to get a question. You can see it in my face, like trying to wait for a spot because I don't want to interrupt. You know,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I
No,
hate that waiting for the certain right spot to ask a question, and it's like, oh, what was my
and then
question?
the top, and then the topic jumped, and then you're like, shit.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
absolutely correct.
I did the same thing. I'm horrible about it. I just nod my head. And like I think you called me out or somebody called me out and said, "Why do you have such a resting bitch face? Are you even interested?" And it's like, hey, hold on, that's just my face. I guess I am. I'm genuinely intrigued with what's going on and hearing the different therapies and all this stuff. And
You
it's
know,
we don't listen to ours either.
the worst thing for me is when people try to dumb it down because they think I don't understand, and it's like, bro, I'm way smarter than you in this shit too. So quit trying to dumb it down. But I'll just let them talk like I'm some moron because hey, I'd rather be the moron. It's like, yeah, dumb it down. I don't care. I'll be on the phone.
I love
I'll text my mom. Like my mom will be talking to me on text. I'll be like, "Yeah, they're trying to dumb something down, so I understand it, but I know more about it than them." You know. And she's like, "Yeah, you do." It's like, what am I supposed to do? I'm just gonna let them talk. And then I'll ask questions. Those are the boring interviews, though. So I don't have very many of those. They're actually shocking. Uh, the ones I like are the interaction, like me and you have. Some of the others I've had the interaction, just the back and forth. Uh, even on serious subjects. And this is a serious subject. It affects a lot of people. You know,
it.
and so I'm glad you got the time from yesterday to today to freaking schedule it. Now it's afternoon, or like barely afternoon.
No, it's
So
new for
thank you for
me.
coming on here and taking time, just waking up and taking time to jump on the show.
Well, I'm glad that I was able to come on finally. I appreciate your patience with me because, yeah, pregnancy was a bit.
I wasn't going to bother a pregnant woman. Hell no. I know my lesson. I've got 4 kids. I learned, I learned that, yeah, you don't fuck with pregnant women because they're mean. It's true. Tell me I'm wrong.
I wasn't that mean. Was I that mean?
Yes, you have to live with her. So the correct answer is no, but I know you really mean yes.
How was I really mean in my pregnancy compared to my postpartum? No, baby.
See, that's the stock answer. Good job. You passed the husband test.
I was mean to others, but not him.
Oh yeah, we'll say it like that because you have to live with her. You have to stay with her. It's okay. I understand.
So because you have to live with me, he understands why you answered that way. I'm also because he was probably the only one that just knew how to take it.
Yeah. He got used to be you. You see, you got him trained. He got used to you being mean. Jeez, you're vicious. Yeah, I mean, say, jeez, you're mean. Yeah, jeez. Poor
Well,
dude. I think we need
now
to have a whole mental health show on him because his got to be like way down right now.
so Jay wants to have a mental health show with you because he's like, damn, I'm vicious.
And he's probably agreeing in his head with that. No, I'm good.
He's like, yeah, I probably need somebody to talk to.
Yeah, yeah,
We can talk about how mean I am. It's okay.
yes.
I'm
But you
just
can't be in
kidding.
the room or ever listen to it.
And that's not fair. How am I ever supposed to fix it?
By him, I'll give him the courage to tell you. That will probably never happen because I wouldn't tell your ass any either. So, nuh-uh. I'll take my chances over there. Jess,
Oh
so
my
one
god.
thing that you want anybody to take away from the show that we talked, the things that we talked about, what would that one thing be?
There's so many things that you could probably take away from this show, but the one thing that I want to say that I wish I knew was that there is resources out there to get help, to speak out. There are people who are willing to listen
That's a good one.
because
Thank you for
that's something
taking
I didn't do.
thank you for taking time out of your day and coming on here. I really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me, Jay. Thanks for being an asshole
Always.
to me.
Always. If you weren't my little sister, I couldn't be an asshole, right?
That's true. I probably would be more of a bitch to you.
Yeah, exactly. Take care of my little niece. When I
I
come to
will.
Texas, I'll be stopping in.
You better. Well, I will fight you on that one.
Yes, I got fights.
And I will win, and you know I will.
I know because I'll give up. I'm like, yep, you are absolutely correct.
Exactly.
So I do appreciate you coming on here and talking about this, as well as your mom. Your mom just celebrated 2 years of being clean and sober. That's a big
Mhm.
accomplishment. Both of you are doing big things. I love seeing it, and I love hearing from people. I just think others need to be more like us or less like us. Maybe I don't know. Depends on what how you're comparing. Either more or less, one of the two, or somewhere in between. I don't know. But thank you for coming on. You have a great rest of the day because we are out of here. That's the show. Another show down in the works. Keep rocking your recovery. I'm Jay. This is Jeselle. Check her out on Looking In Through the Glass. Her and her mom's podcast. It's a great place to watch some. It's a great place to get some knowledge. They're great people. Sela and Jeselle. I'm telling you, great people. Go check them out. Subscribe. Listen. Same to me. Subscribe to me too. Don't leave me out of this shit. I'm Jay. Jeselle, have a great day. Keep rocking your recovery. And that's it. We're out of here once I hit the end button.